Hello and welcome to our lecture on marketing planning. I am Srishti Tamrakar, Assistant Professor at Department of Commerce and Management. In our previous discussion, we established the fundamentals of what marketing is and what it does. Today, we take the next logical step to understand how marketing activities are formally organized, planned, and executed. Planning is the cornerstone of all successful management, and in the dynamic field of marketing, it is absolutely critical. We will explore the process of developing a marketing plan from its initial definition to the complex strategic model that help managers make high-level decisions. This lecture will provide a structured frame for thinking like a marketing strategist. By the end of this session, you should be able to first provide a clear definition of marketing planning and its core elements. Second, you will able to explain the importance of marketing planning and the key benefits it brings to an organization. Third, you will be able to describe the process of market planning. And fourth, you will be able to analyze Porter's generic model, including both the 5 force and the 3 generic strategy. Fifth, you will able to deconstruct the value chain model, differentiating between primary and support activities. Sixth, you will able to evaluate business units using the BCG growth matrix. And finally, apply the GE9 cell planning grid to understand more about portfolio strategies. Let's begin with a formal definition. What exactly is marketing planning? At its core, marketing is a process of developing and implementing plans to identify and satisfy customer needs and wants. The ultimate goal of this process are twofold. First one is customer satisfaction and second one is profit making. So, to achieve this, the planning process focuses on two main elements. First, it involves comprehensive market research to identify and importantly anticipate customer needs and wants. Second, it involves the careful planning of an appropriate marketing mix, that is, the right combination of product, price, place, and promotion so to meet the identified market requirements and demands. A more formal definition states that marketing planning is the process of developing a marketing plan incorporating overall marketing objectives, strategies, and programs of actions designed to achieve these objectives. So, this process is not just a simple exercise, it involves setting clear objectives and targets and then communicating these targets to the people who are responsible for achieving them. It also demands a careful and thought examination of all strategic issues. This includes the broader business environment, the market itself also, the company's own mission, its competitors and its internal organizational capabilities. So, why do we dedicate so much time and effort to market planning? Is it truly necessary? The text makes it clear that an effective marketing plan is essential for achieving marketing objectives. In fact, without a proper plan, any implementation of marketing activities become meaningless. Now, let's look at the specific points that highlights the importance of market planning or marketing planning. First, it helps in avoiding future uncertainties. Here, the market is not static, it is volatile. A good plan uses forecasting and analysis to anticipate change, allowing the firms to prepare for them rather than just react. Second, it facilitates the process of management by objective. Here, planning sets clear, measurable goals. This allows manager to align all the activities towards those specific goals, making management more focused and effective. Third, and the most directly, it helps to achieve the marketing objectives. A plan acts as a roadmap, detailing exactly what steps are needed to get from where the company is to where is it want to be. Fourth, it helps in coordination and communication among various departments. Marketing does not exist in a vacuum. A formal plan ensures that the marketing, finance, production and R&D departments are all working from the same script and towards the same corporate goal. Fifth, it helps in the process of control. How do you know if you are successful? A plan sets the benchmark and a target. So, by comparing with that target, you can evaluate your actions. This allows for evaluation and control. So, you can measure performance against the plan and make corrections as needed. And finally, all this culminates in a one of the primary goal of marketing, that is, it helps in enhancing the satisfaction level of customer. A well-planned marketing effort is more likely to deliver the right product at right price at the right time, leading to greater customer satisfaction. Now, let's turn to the marketing planning process itself. This is a series of stages typically followed in a sequence. It's important to note that this is a flexible framework. Organizations can and should adapt this process to suit their specific circumstances and requirements. The entire process involves two key parts. First, the development of objectives, where we want to go, and second, the specification of how to achieve those objectives and how we will get there. As you can see from the diagram, the steps involved in a typical marketing plans, which are mission, corporate objectives, marketing audit, short analysis, marketing assumptions, marketing objectives and strategies, forecasting the expected results, create an alternative plans, then marketing budget, and finally implementation and evaluation. We will now look at these steps in more detail. The planning process begins at the very highest level of strategy. The first two steps set the stage for everything that follows. First is the mission. The mission is the fundamental reason for which an organization exists. Think of it as the company's why, the mission statement. Basically, it is a straightforward declaration that shows why the organization is in business. It provides basic guidelines for all the future planning and establishes the broad parameters for the future. A useful mission statement does more than just define the business. It also serves to motivate both staff and customers. Following directly from the mission are the corporate objectives. Objectives are the set of goals to be achieved within an specified period of time. Corporate objectives, therefore, are the most important goal the organization as a whole wishes to achieve. For example, over the next 1 or 5 years. It is crucial to understand that all the departments within the organization, including marketing, must work in harmony to achieve these corporate objectives. The marketing department must fully appreciate these top level goals and ensure that all its action and decisions support them. These first two steps, the mission statement and the corporate objectives, are determined by the top level management, which includes board of directors. The rest of the steps we will discuss are then performed by the marketing department, but always in service of this mission and these objectives. Once the high level mission and objectives are set, the marketing department begins its work with a marketing audit. This is an essential diagnostic step. The marketing audit helps in analyzing and evaluating the current marketing strategies, activities, problems, goals, and results. It is basically a comprehensive check of all aspects of the business that are directly related to the marketing department. A common misconception is that this is only done at the beginning of planning process. This is incorrect. A marketing audit should be conducted not only at start but also at a series of points during the implementation of the plan. So, why? Because it helps clarify emerging opportunities and threats, which allowing the team to make necessary alteration to the plan. The information gathered, this audit process is then used to develop the next step, that is SWOT analysis. SWOT is an acronym for strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats related to marketing function. Let's start with strength and weaknesses. Strength and weaknesses are factors inside the organization. These are controllable. For example, a unique selling proposition of a product would be a strength, while a lack of innovation would be a weakness of any company. Next is opportunity and threat. Opportunity and threat are factors outside the organization. These are beyond the direct control of the firm. For example, an upcoming festive season is an opportunity to make maximum sales, whereas an increase in foreign direct investment in a nation could be a threat to the domestic player in that nation. The next step is one that is often overlooked but is critical for a realistic plan, making marketing assumptions. A good marketing plan is, of course, based on deep customer understanding and knowledge gained from the audit. But is it possible to know everything about the customer or the market and the future? The answer is no. Therefore, we must assume a lot of different things about the customer. These are not wild guesses. They are educated inferences based on our research, but they must be stated clearly. Examples of assumptions includes target buyer assumption. Here we make assumptions about who are our target buyers, their needs and their behaviors. Second, offering assumptions. We also make assumptions about what the customer thinks are the most important features of the product we plan to offer. So, by explicitly stating these assumptions, the entire team understands the foundation upon which the plan is built. If later one of these assumptions proves to be wrong, the team knows exactly why a part of the plan may be falling and can adjust it. By explicitly stating these assumptions, the entire team understands the foundation upon which the plan is built. If later one of these assumptions proves to be wrong, the team knows exactly why a part of the plan may be failing and can adjust it. After we have analyzed our internal and external situation and stated our assumptions, the next step is to develop specific marketing objectives and strategies. First, we set marketing objectives. These are developed from the opportunities and challenges identified in the SWOT analysis. Here, the objectives reflects what the marketing department can accomplish in the coming year and identifies the specific end state to be achieved. Once we know the end point, we must form marketing strategies to achieve these objectives. The strategies determine how we will achieve those endpoints. So, if the objective is the what, the strategy is how. Strategies are broad statements of activities we will perform to get there. With our strategies in place, we must then forecast the expected results. This step is vital for making the plan accountable. Marketing managers must project the future numbers, characteristics, and trends in the target market. Without proper forecasting, the marketing plan could have unrealistic goals or it might fall short on what it promised to deliver. This forecasting must be detailed. Manager must forecast firstly customer responses, means how will the average customer respond to our marketing efforts. Second, marketing cost. An accurate forecast of cost is required to make the plan strong. Third, the market. This requires an intimate understanding of a customer's their buying behavior and their tendencies. Third, the competition. We must also forecast what competitors will do, how they will market, and what incentives they might use. so we can counter their actions. We are now nearing the end of planning process. After forecasting, we must be prudent and create an alternative plan. So, what happens if our primary planning plan fail or if our key assumptions turn out to be wrong? An alternative plan is created and kept ready to be implemented if the whole or even some part of the primary plan is dropped. This is simply good risk management. Next, every plan needs resources. This brings us to the marketing budget. The budget is the process of documenting the expected cost of proposed marketing plan. This is where the strategy gets translated into financial terms. There are several methods to allocate this budget. A common one is basing it on a percentage of revenue. Other methods include the comparative method, that is also called matching competitors, the all you can afford method, or the task method, which is a budgeting based on the cost of the task needed to achieve the objective. Finally, we reach the last stage, implementation and evaluation. At this stage, the marketing team is ready to actually start putting their plans into action. This is the exciting part. It may involve spending money on advertising, launching new products, interacting with potential new customers, or opening new retail outlets. But the process does not end with the implementation. The marketing plan process must be evaluated and updated regularly. This regular evaluation of marketing efforts is what helps the team stay on track and ultimately achieve its marketing goals. Let's quickly recap these entire 11 steps planning process, which, as we have seen, forms a logical and comprehensive journey. It begins at the very top with the mission, which defines our why, and the corporate objectives, which outlines what we aim to achieve. From there, we move into a thought analysis of the present situation through a detailed marketing audit, which helps us gathering all the necessary data. So, this data then flows into a short analysis, allowing us to clearly understand our internal strengths and weaknesses, as well as the external opportunities and threats. Once this is established, we state our key assumptions to create a stable and realistic foundation for decision making. By building on this, we set our marketing objective, which means what exactly we want to achieve, and our strategies, which defines how we plan to achieve them. We then forecast the expected results, making the plan both measurable and realistic. As a safeguard, we also prepare our alternative plan to act as a contingency. Next, we secure a marketing budget to ensure that all planned activities are adequately funded. And finally, we move into the twin stage of implementation, where the plan is put into action, and evaluation, where we monitor and control performance. This structured and disciplined process transforms marketing from a reactive function into a proactive, strategic one that drives long term success. The marketing planning process we just discussed provides the framework. Now we are going to look at several powerful analytical models that are used within that process. These models are the tools a marketing strategist uses, especially during the audit. Short and strategy formulation stages, we will explore four of the most influential models. First one is Porter's generic model, second one is value chain model, third one is BCG growth matrix, and the fourth one is GE 9 cell planning grid. Let's begin with Porter's model. Before we can form a strategy, we must understand the competitive field we are playing on. Porter's 5-force model is the classic tool for this. It helps analyze the 5 key forces that affect competition within any industry. As shown in the diagram, these five forces are: first one is the bargaining power of the suppliers. How much power do our supplier have to raise their price? And if there are few suppliers, their power will be high. Second, bargaining power of the buyer. How much power do our customer, means buyers, have to drive our price down? If they buy in large volume, their power will be high. Third, the threat of new entrants to the industry, which means how easy or difficult is it for a new company to enter a market. If bargainer to entry are low, this threat is high. Fourth one is the threat of substitute product or services, which means is there a different product or service that could satisfy the same customer need? If so, this threat will be higher. Fifth, the rivalry among current competitors. This is the force at the center. How intense is the competition among the existing firms in the industry? By analyzing these five forces, a marketing planner can get a clear picture of the industry, profitability, and attractiveness. After analyzing the industry with the five force, Porter identified three generic strategies that a company can use to build a sustainable competitive advantage. It is crucial for strategic thinking. The first of these strategic is overall cost leadership. What is the goal of this strategy? The goal is for a business firm to achieve the lowest production and distribution cost in its industry. Why? So that it can fix its product price lower in the comparison to its competitors and win the market share. Now, how does a firm achieve this? This is not just about cutting prices randomly. It requires a relentless focus on efficiency. The firms that aim for cost leadership must achieve operating economies in the field of manufacturing and physical distribution of the product. This strategy is about being the most efficient operator in the entire industry. Now, if a firm does not want to or can't compete on cost, Porter offers two other strategies. The second generic strategy is differentiation. Here, the aim is to gain superior value in the market. The firm concentrates on the achieving superior performance in an era that is important to the customer. This could be superior service, quality, design, style, or technology. Differentiation can only be achieved if the firm cultivates specific strengths that enable it to gain a competitive advantage and be different from its rivals. The third generic strategy is focus. In this strategy, the firms focus on a narrow defined segment of the market rather than going for the large market. Now, why would a company do this? This idea is based on the fact that the firms might not be able to achieve either cost leadership or differentiation if it competed in the broad overall segment. However, by focusing on a small or narrow segment, the firm can understand the needs of these specific customers well. And within that narrow segment, the firm can then apply a cost leadership or a differentiation strategy to serve those customers better than anyone else. To quickly summarize this important model, Porter provides us with a two-part toolkit for competitive strategy. First, the five force model, where it includes supplier, buyers, new entrants, substitutes, and rivalry, is the framework we use to analyze the competitive structure and attractiveness of an industry. Second, three generic strategy, which includes overall cost leadership, differentiation, and focus, describes the primary way a firm can position itself within that industry to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. A firm must choose one of these clear paths to avoid being stuck in the middle. Our next model, also from Michael Porter, is the value chain model. While the five force model looks outside the firms at the industry, the value chain model looks inside the firm to find a competitive advantage. So, what is a value chain? It is the whole series of activities that create and build value at every step. The total value delivered by the company to its customer is simply the sum total of the value built up all throughout the company. In simple terms, the value chain is a high level model of how a business receives raw materials, add value to those raw materials through various processes, and then sells the finished product to customers. A value chain analysis looks at every single step of the business, from the raw material to the eventual end user, with one primary goal is to deliver maximum value effectively. Porter suggested that all the activities within an organization add value to the product and services it produces, and all these activities should be run at an optimum level to gain a real and competitive advantage. If they are run efficiently, the value obtained should exceed the cost of running them. So, to analyze this, Porter split the organization's activities into two categories. The first one is primary activities and the second one is support activities. Let's first look at primary activities. These are the activities that are directly involved in the creation, sale, and transfer of the product to the buyer. Here, the first one is inbound logistics. This is where goods are obtained from the organization's suppliers to be used for producing the end product. This includes receiving, sorting, and managing raw materials. Second, operations. This is the stage where raw material and goods are manufactured into the final product. Value is the clearly added to the product at this stage and it moves through the production line. Third, outbound logistics. Once the products have been manufactured, they are ready to be distributed. This activity, known as outbound logistics, includes distribution to centers, wholesalers, retailers, or directly to customers. Now, the fourth one is marketing and sales. This is a home base. This department must make sure that the product is targeted towards the correct customer group. The marketing mix is used to establish an effective strategy, and any competitive advantage is clearly communicated to the target group through the promotional mix. Now we have services. This refers to all activities after the product or service has been sold. What support services does the organization offer? This may come in the form of after sales training, guarantee, and warranties. A firm develops its competitive advantage by performing any or all of these activities better or more effectively than its rivals. Now, the primary activities cannot function on their own. They are assisted by support activities. These activities help the primary activities and in doing so helps the organization achieve its competitive advantage. Here, the first one is procurement. This is the function of sourcing the raw materials. This department must obtain the best price for doing so. The challenge for procurement is to get the best possible quality available for their budget. Second, technological development. In today's environment, this is critical. This involves using technology to obtain a competitive advantage. Technology can be used in production to reduce cost, in research and development to develop new product, or on the internet to give customer 24 into 7 access to the firm. Now the third one is human resource management. An organization is only as good as its people. HRM must recruit, train and develop the right people for organization to be successful. Staff must be motivated and paid appropriately if they are to stay and add value. In the service sector, like an airline, the employees are the competitive advantages as the customer is purchasing a service provided by them. Now, fourth, we have firm infrastructure. This is the backbone of the organization. It includes finances, the legal structure, and management structures. Insufficient infrastructure wastes resources and can even affect the firm's reputation or leave it open to fines. Now, value chain management. It's one thing to identify the value chain, it's another to manage it effectively. Value chain managers are always looking for ways to improve the company's processes. To do so, six key requirements must be met. The first one is coordination and collaboration. So, to increase efficiency, work groups must be coordinated to ensure efforts are not just duplicated. This relies on the theory that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Second one is technology investment. As we have seen, technology plays a large role. With outdated technology, an organization's competitiveness is weakened due to a loss in productivity. Third, organizational process. In value chain management, every aspect of a process is identified. Continuous improvement in these processes through better technology or knowledge is key to success. Fourth one is leadership. Strong leaders are crucial. They learn the respect of their employees and display tactics like conflict management, motivation, and providing clear direction. Fifth one is employee or human resources. A company needs a central hub of information on benefits, policies, and hiring. A knowledgeable and active HR department gives employees a voice, often acting as a liaison between an employee and a superior. Now, organizational culture and attitudes. This is the environment. Organizations that foster a strong culture identity with positive attitude tends to attract and retain the best employees. So, regular corporate sponsored activities can help build this unity and keep attitudes positive. Now, let's review the value chain model. This is a powerful internal analysis tool. It breaks a firm down into its key value creating activities, which are divided into primary activities like operations, marketing, and services, and support activities like HRM, technology, and procurement. The goal of analyzing the chain is to identify strengths and weaknesses in each activity, finding ways to optimize them, reduce cost, or enhance differentiation. So, successfully managing this chain requires a focus on collaboration, technology, process, leadership, HR, and culture. Ultimately, a well managed value chain is the source of firm's competitive advantage. We now shift our focus from a single business strategy to a high level problem. What does a large corporation do when it has multiple businesses or products? Or how does it decide where to allocate its limited resources? It will be a cash or it can be a time also. This is where portfolio model are used. Just as a financial investor manages a portfolio of stocks, a corporation manages a portfolio of business units. We will look at two of the most famous portfolio model. The first one is BCG growth matrix, which is a simple and powerful 2 into 2 grid. Second one is GE 9 cell planning grid, which is a more advanced portfolio model. These models help managers visualize their portfolio and make strategic decisions about which unit to invest in and which to maintain and which to divest. Let's start with the classic, the BCG growth matrix, which is proposed by Boston Consultancy Group in 1970. This model presents the relative position of companies' different business unit in a simple 2 into 2 matrix. It is crucial to understand the two axes. The first one is the vertical axis, which represents the market growth rate. This is a measure of how fast the entire market is growing. It is divided into high and low. This axis represents the cash usage, which is a high growth market requires a lot of cash investment to keep up. Second one is horizontal axis, represents the relative market share. This is a measure of our business unit strength compared to our large competitor. It also divides into high and low. This axis represents cash generation. A high market share typically generates a lot of cash. By plotting these two factors, the matrix creates four distinct quadrants, each with a unique name: star, question mark, cash cow, and dogs. Let's analyze these quadrants and the strategies they imply. First, in the top left, we have the stars. These are business units or products that have both high market growth and high market share. This is a fantastic position to be in. The high growth rate signifies that the product has the potential to achieve high sales and generate high revenue. The high market share indicates that the product already has a firm footing in the market. What is strategy here? Firms need to invest freely in their star units as they are expected to grow even further and make more profit. The text gives the example of hero companies cycle businesses as a star, having both high share and high growth. Second, in the bottom left, we have the cash cow. These units have high market share but are in a low market growth industry. The high market share means the business is well established and generates a lot of cash. However, the low growth rate signifies that the market is mature and the present yield is the poor in terms of growth. Cash cow are the golden geese. While they are unattractive for long run growth, they are essential because they generate cash that can be used to meet organizational requirements such as funding the stars and the question mark. The example given is Reliance textile business, which has a high market share in a low growing market. Now let's look at the right side of matrix, which represents low market share. In the top right, we have question mark. These units have low market share but are in high growth rate market. This is the most difficult quadrant. The low market share put a question mark on the profit potential of the business unit. The firm is faced with a critical strategic choice. It can either make additional investment using cash from the cash cow to try and gain market share and convert the question mark into a star, or it can divest the unit if the cost of investment is deemed excessive compared to the potential return. The example provided is the Hindustan Motor Ambassador car, which had a low market share in growing market. Finally, in the bottom right, we have the dog. These units have both low market share and low market growth. These businesses units are unattractive for investment. They lack a competitive position and the market itself has no potential for growth. So, what is the best strategy here? The best strategy adopted by a firm is to harvest the business unit, which means to cut all investment and extract any remaining cash from this business, or to liquidate, which means sale of the business unit. The example given is the shipping business of Century Textile, where both the market share and the growth rate are low. Let's summarize the BCG matrix. It is essentially a portfolio planning tool that helps organizations classify their business units on the basis of two key dimensions. The first one is the growth market rate, which indicates how much cash a unit will require, and the relative market share, which reflects how much cash it can generate. When we map these two dimensions together, we get four distinct quadrants. First, we have the star units that operates in high growth market and also holds a high market share. These are the areas where the organization should continue to invest. Next are the cash cow, which exist in low growth markets but have a high market share. These units generate steady cash that can be used to support other parts of portfolios also. Then we have the question marks. High growth market but low market share. These require important strategic decisions, which should the company invest heavily to turn them into stars, or should it divest? And finally the dogs. Units with both low market growth and low market share, with the appropriate strategy is usually to harvest or divest. Ultimately, the purpose of using the BCG matrix is to maintain balance within the portfolio, which ensures that the cash cows generates enough resources to fund the stars while making smart selective investments in the question mark and carefully divesting the dogs. The BCG matrix is simple and effective, but it was also spotlighted with certain limitations. For example, high and low and very simplistic meso. To overcome these shortcomings, another more sophisticated matrix called the GE 9 cell planning grid was developed. It was developed by General Electric Company with the help of the consulting firm McKinsey and Company. Now, let's discuss what are its key features. First, it is a 3 into 3 matrix which immediately provides more nuance than the 2 into 2 BCG matrix. It is built on two key dimensions: industry attractiveness and business strength. Each of these dimensions is divided into three levels. Business strength is classified into strong, average, and weak. Then industry attractiveness is categorized into high, medium, and low. Let's look at these two axes in more detail, as they are more comprehensive than the BCG's axes. The first dimension is business strength, which is represented on the vertical axis and quantified as strong, average, and weak. What constitutes business strength? It includes all the positive an organization can add to its growth and prosperity. This is measured in terms of company's market share, its profitability, its ability to compete and invest, its knowledge of marketing strategies, and any technological advantages, and so on. This is a much richer multiple factor measure that judges relative market share. The second dimension is industry attractiveness or market attractiveness is represented on the horizontal axis and is quantified as high, medium, and low. What makes an industry attractive? This includes external factors that can help in the potential growth of the firm by providing opportunities to invest and learn. These attracting factors include the market size, the growth rate, profit margins, economies of scale, technology, and even the social and legal marketing environment. Again, this is much more comprehensive than just market growth rate. This 3 into 3 grid creates 9 cells based on combination of business strength and market attractiveness. These 9 cells can be grouped into 3 different zones identified by the color green, yellow, and red, just like in a traffic signal. This is why this is also known as spotlight matrix. These colors provide a clear strategic signal for investment. Let's start with invest expand, which is a green zone. This zone is represented by green. This is where market attractiveness is high or medium and the business strength is strong or average. In this zone, the business has a maximum likelihood of growth and can afford to invest and expand. Thus, the green signal symbolizes a go strategy for building business opportunities by investing freely. Second one is select or earn, that is a yellow zone. This zone is represented by yellow. This covers the diagonal sales with combinations like high, weak, medium, average and low, strong. This is a wait and watch situation. A mixed situation persists and a possibility of high growth does not clearly exist. The strategy here is to hold the position and concentrate on earning while waiting for opportunities for growth. Next one is harvest and divest. This zone is represented by red. This is where market attractiveness is medium or low and the business strength is average or weak. This is a stop signal. The firm has to harvest or divest its business. Remember, harvesting is a slow withdrawal while divesting is a immediate withdrawal from the business. In the worst case scenario where both the market attractiveness and business strength fall into the low or poor zone, it is better to immediately divest the business or any delay may result in lower value. Let's review the GE9 cell planning grid. It is essentially a more advanced and sophisticated portfolio analysis tool compared to BCG matrix. Instead of relying on single metric axis, it uses two multi-factor composite variables, that is business strength, which can be strong, average or weak, and industry attractiveness, which can be high, medium or low. When these two dimensions are combined, they create a 3 into 3 grid that offers a much more nuanced, realistic and detailed assessment of business units' strategic position. The guidance provided by this model is also very intuitive, operating much like a traffic light system. Units that fall into green zone signals go, meaning the organization should invest and expand. Those in the yellow zone suggest caution, indicating wait and select or earn, depending on the circumstances. And finally, unit placed in red zone signal stop, meaning it is the time to harvest or divest. This grid helps decision maker allocate resources more wisely by capturing the complexity of real world business and environment. In today's lecture, we have constructed a comprehensive overview of marketing planning. We begin by defining the concept as the process of developing a plan to identify and satisfy customer needs for profit. We establish its critical importance in avoiding uncertainty, achieving objectives, and coordinating the whole organization. We then detail the structured, that is 11-step marketing planning process, which is the master framework that guides a firm from its high level mission all the way down to the implementation and evaluation. Finally, we explain the powerful analytical model that strategists use within this process. We learn how Porter's 5 force and generic strategies helps us to analyze the competitive environment and choose a position. We use the value chain model to look internally, identifying primary and supportive activities to build a competitive advantage. And we use the portfolio model, that is a BCG matrix and the GE9 cell grid to understand how a corporation manages its portfolio of businesses, deciding where to allocate its most valuable resources. Together, this process and these models forms the essential toolkit for strategic marketing management. Thank you all for your attention and engagement throughout this session on marketing planning. I hope this lecture has given you a clear understanding of how marketing plans are developed, implemented, and used as a strategic tool for achieving organizational goals. Remember, effective marketing planning is not just about setting objectives, it's about aligning resources, anticipating market changes, and ensuring every action contributes to long term success.